To tell the truth in a memoir may seem simple, but in practice it is almost never easy. It is, first of all, not clear what the truth is. Is it your truth or is it somebody else's truth? Then also, the truth may be submerged beneath layers of pain that can prompt you to hide it from everyone and possibly from yourself. And sometimes the truth you want to share is a guesstimate. Can you share a guesstimate? Well, I'm going to tell you that you can. In this video, I want to elaborate on these three aspects of telling the truth. 1. Whose truth must you tell? 2. How to handle painful truth. And 3. How to make the best of guesstimates. Before I get to my tips, however, let me welcome you to the Better Memoir Writing Masterclass channel. I am Denis Ledoux, author of the classic granddaddy of memoir writing books, Turning Memories into Memoirs, and I am the founder of the Memoir Network. When I suggest you must tell the truth, I don't mean the easy truth like I had a brother and a sister, but the much harder truth that makes you flinch, a truth like my mother actively disliked her kids, especially me, but she sugar-coated it so people believed how wonderful she was. Or, I was abused by my uncle when I was a child. He was everybody's favorite except for me. While not everyone has such painful memories that are difficult to share, many people do. And if this is you, I think you know what your hard truth is. Consider those aspects of your life you don't particularly want to share. These are certainly hard to share, and the fact is you do not have to share them. I'm not advocating a tell-all memoir here, but I am advocating exploring your truth. Memoir writing is therapeutic, and admitting your harsh truths to yourself, even if it never makes its way into your published memoir, this is likely to make you feel so much better later. It will heal something within you. My sense is that you will write with more clarity about everything else once you admit a particular truth to yourself. Stop hiding behind, "Oh, it was not so bad after all." No, it was perhaps really that bad. Now let's shift to the pain often inherent in telling the truth. When you tell the truth, you may find yourself immersed in pain. I do not believe that you need to hurt yourself when you tell the truth. Writing a memoir is not an occasion to hurt yourself or to hurt anybody else. But you must learn to own your life experience and to be honest about it to yourself, if not necessarily to the entire world. What I have found in my workshops and in my coaching is that other writers almost always pick up when a writer has decided not to tell the truth and writes inaccuracies or whitewashing into a text. This is different from not revealing the truth. Falsifying the truth somehow stands out, so don't do it. You won't get away with it. Most readers will sense there is a problem even if they don't know what that problem is. If you falsify the truth, you may have an easier writing time, but you won't be satisfied in the end with the memoir that you have written. Let's focus not on avoiding the truth, but on how to write truth in a memoir. There's no problem when you are in agreement with the storyline and its interpretation. But what do you do when you are not? Especially, what do you do when you are alone in the way you interpret the story? Others in your family or among your friends do not agree with you. We all have family stories we have heard over and over again, and when they are told in family gatherings, no one expects anyone to contradict these stories. They are, after all, the stories that are the official truth about someone in the family. To oppose this version is not to make nice and not to whitewash the accepted truth. You can always tell your story in your memoir using the official version, of course. But you will be at odds to tell the story well when you distort your insights in order not to contradict other people's take on a story. Your readers will sense that something is wrong. What's more, they may tend to dismiss what you write. They will sense that your interpretation is not the product of insight, but an instance of making nice. For instance, if you are driven by your loyalty to a family theme to depict a character, let's say your Aunt Phyllis, as always fighting for good and justice, a true heroine, that's the way your family wants to think of her. But in your heart you experience her as overbearing and rigid and righteous, as a woman who could have used a little loosening up. Your readers will intuit your inner conflict, distorting your point of view to support a version you do not hold, will lead to inexplicable rejection of your story by your reader. Even if they can't put their finger on it, your readers will pick up that there is something wrong in the writing. They will discount this vignette, this chapter, this story. They may come to distrust your writing both here and elsewhere, and possibly everywhere in your memoir. Many of your readers will stop reading. Well, besides, not telling the truth as you see it has a way of digging you into a hole. Like a white lie, it gets bigger and bigger until you can hardly handle it. Now let's turn to my third point in telling your truth. Let's turn to the guesstimate. When writing a memoir or family history, you will inevitably come across bits of information that you want to include but which you cannot verify. Once you have ascertained all the facts that can be checked, other truths still need to be told. But these truths may not be of the sort that anyone can authenticate. For instance, your grandparents were married in 1930. Most young couples are without solid financial backing when they start out. Your grandparents, as much as you and anyone else knows, didn't have any rich uncle to ease them through these first years of marriage. Are you justified in concluding they must have felt the effects of the Depression during their first days together? You can't prove this, of course. If, as scientists do with their theories, you proceed as if your hypothesis were true, that your grandparents must have had a lean time of it at that moment, what insight does this assumption give you about decisions they made during those years, or about attitudes they held in their later life together? Interpretations like these, based on reasonable inferences. You remember a story about 3 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment, or you remember another story about having to give that up to live with your grandfather's parents, and so forth. These are guesstimates that you're making, and the guesstimate here is not a hard one to make. These are people who did not have much excess income. Guesstimates can make parts of your memoir more understandable and your portrait more full. It serves truth in your memoir, even if it is not verifiable, even if it is your inferred truth. As you include your guesstimates, always attribute them to yourself by attaching phrases like, "I believe that," or "it seems to me." Your interpretation or inference will take its place as a possible truth in the story you are writing. Although it is essentially different from verifiable truth, the inferred truth has a rightful place in your writing. Without it, your story will be smaller. As you allow yourself to arrive at conclusions in this way, be sure to recognize cliches that mar the truth in your memoir. Cliches are the ill-fitting shortcuts that actually obscure the individuality of your characters. If you find yourself writing guesstimates like everyone in those days was like that, let the alarm bells go off. You have left the firm ground of reasonable inference behind you and are tromping into the sloppy swampland of cliches. So tell your version of the truth. You and your readers will be glad you did. If you would like to explore receiving help with your memoir on any aspect of memoir writing or publishing, we offer a 30-minute complimentary get-to-know-you consultation. The link to a free session is in the description below. Before you go, please hit the subscribe button at the bottom left of this video and click on the bell next to it. Subscribing assures this memoir writing content will appear on your YouTube homepage and recommendations bar. Check the description below for a link to this week's free video e-course. And remember, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. Good luck writing your story.